Namaste students, welcome back to English class, and today we are going to learn about the next story or the other half of the lesson and second chapter, The Lost Spring by Anis Jung from Flamingo. I hope you have a textbook in hand, your textbook plus one pencil. Okay, so let's begin. Actually, if you remember in the previous chapter we had a story of Sahib-e-Alam. The story's name was Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. This time we have the story, I want to drive a car. The topic of the story itself tells a strong desire of someone that I want to drive a car. So let's see who is this protagonist in this particular story about lost spring, stolen childhood. I want to drive a car. It's put into inverted commas because it's a dialogue of the character. The character's name is Mukesh. Mukesh insists on being his own master. I will be a motor mechanic, he announces. So this particular Mukesh, he announces that yes, I want to become a motor mechanic. He is insisting on it. Do you know anything about cars? I ask. Who is it? I? The writer. So what is she asking? She's asking, okay, fine, you want to be a motor mechanic? Okay, fine. But do you know about cars? Do you know to drive a car? I will learn to drive a car, he answers, looking straight into my eyes. If you remember Sahib-e-Alam in the previous story, when she asked, do you want to go to school? That time he is not looking into her eyes, but this Mukesh, it shows his confidence that yes, he is confident enough that he wants to learn a car, he wants to be a motor mechanic. But about Sahib-e-Alam, he was not sure. Of course, he wishes, he has a desire to go to school, but he is not sure whether he will get a chance to go to school. So what happens? He is not looking straight into the author's eyes, he looks far away. But here Mukesh looks straight into the author's eyes, and what he says is, I will learn to drive a car, he answers. His dream looms like a mirage amidst the dust of streets that fill his town, Firozabad. Looms means what? Appears distinctly. Actually, it's not clear. His dreams, it's not clear, but still he dreams. And where is this Firozabad? It's actually an ancient city. It is far away from, you can say, Agra. It is almost 40 kilometers far away from Agra. It's a UP state. And this particular Firozabad is very, very famous for glass bangle making. So he is one of the resident of you can say Firozabad, and he dreams. Of course, the other people over there, all the children, the grown-ups over there, they have profession of bangle making, but this particular child, he wants to be a motor mechanic. So let's see what continues. Firozabad, famous for its bangles. Every other family in Firozabad is engaged in making bangles. As I told you, it is the center of India's glass blowing industry where families have spent generations working around furnaces, welding glass, making bangles for all the women in the land, it seems. Almost the entire India. You can see the ladies, especially the married ladies, they wear glass bangles. Of course, nowadays trend is not there. But if you remember the past, if you see in the past, these particular ladies used to wear glass bangles, and these glass bangles are said to be coming from Firozabad. Of course, along with this video, I am going to send you a small glimpse of actually bangle making process in Firozabad. So you'll get the idea exactly how is the life over there, how the bangles also are made, how they have to struggle to make a bangle. They have lots of hard work at the cost of their health. Okay? So Mukesh's family is among them. None of them know that it is illegal for children like him to work in the glass furnaces with high temperatures, in dingy cells, without air and light, and that the law it enforced could get him and all those 20,000 children out of the hot furnaces where they slog their daylight hours. Slog their daylight hours and struggle persistently. If one day there is no electricity, there is no fan on, I have seen you going mad. I have seen you really, immediately you become very, very impatient. You want the current or you can say electricity to be working regularly. You want the fan, or those who are staying in AC house, you know how is the condition. If AC is not working, if it is not being put on, what is the condition. But this particular kids, this particular children, they work in areas where there is furnaces, and furnaces, you know what happens in furnaces, there is continuous fire being, actually you can say, burning in the furnaces, and that too they have to sit near the furnaces and work on making bangles. So here he is one among them where children almost of different ages, they sit along with their parents, and as it is mentioned, there may be 20,000 children, even they are not aware that it is illegal, because they don't know about, that child labor is boycotted, that child labor is considered to be illegal. If suppose these children would have known, they would have fought for it? No. Why? Because there are different conditions, financial conditions, poor conditions of people, where even though many of them, they may be knowing now, because now we have exposure, we have medias and all these things, they may be knowing it's not legal, but still they have to slog, they have to work, struggle persistently, where? In furnaces. Of course, they are not sitting inside the furnace, but in a place, in an area where there are lots of furnaces, no fire burning throughout the day. So, slog their daylight hours, often losing the brightness of their eyes. You have got specs, you have lost the eyesight because of some sudden, you can say, by parents they say watch more TV, or like can see you are always like full day on mobile. Maybe because of that we are losing our eyesight, or you can say our vision has been reduced. But these particular children, they work in such an area where entirely, when there is a furnace nearby, you cannot have huge windows, you cannot have doors. Why? Because wind blows in. So you have to have such a place with dingy places, dark places, where there is only one door to go in, to come in, go out and come in. There are no windows over there. So in such an area they are working, and by the end of the, we can say, as a small child they start. By they become adult and by they become old age, they lose their eyesight. Even you have seen, actually, when you go to a mall to watch a movie, you stay inside to watch a movie for almost 2 hours, 3 hours, and after some time when you're coming out, what happens? You cannot bear the light outside. Same thing happens to these kids from morning till evening. They are slogging there, they are working there, and what happens? They get used to the darkness, they cannot face the brightness, and slowly their eyes gets affected. Mukesh's eyes beam as he volunteers to take me home. Mukesh's eyes beam is what shines. Of course, he is very happy to take the author to his house. So he says he volunteers to take me home, which he proudly says is being rebuilt. His house is being rebuilt, and he feels proud to take the author to his house. Let's see how is the house. We walk down stinking lanes chalked with garbage, past homes that remain hovels with crumbling walls, wobbly doors, no windows, crowded with families of humans and animals coexisting in a primal state. It's a very touching line. There is no difference between a human being and an animal. Both these categories, they coexist. And as we say that the streets are stinking, the walls are not strong enough, the doors are wobbly, and forget about that, in a small space you have human beings and animals staying together. How much hygienic it is, how much good it is, because you have your pets. Of course, cats, they keep themselves clean, dogs, they have their own plus dog house you built for them. What about these particular animals? They may be having goats, they may be having hen, they may be having like cats are there, dogs are there. So they coexist. Human families and animal families coexist, which shows a very pathetic condition of this particular area, where bangles are made, auspicious bangles are made, and the bangles are sold throughout India. So let's see what else he say. He stops at the door of one such house, bangs a wobbly iron door with his foot, and pushes it open. Of course, they have reached their house. He opens the door with a bang. We enter a half-built shack. It's a half-built, you can say, A half part is built by bricks, half part is built, this is like very, it's like a hut, not very strong, it's poorly built, roughly built, you can say shack. In one part of it, thatched with dead grass, is a firewood stove over which sits a large vessel of sizzling spinach leaves. So, in one, of course, you might have seen just a small area. In that small area becomes their kitchen, that small area becomes their bedroom, that small area becomes their living room. Everything is clubbed over there. So here author is saying that it's actually a half built shack where on one where at one side you have this firewood stove. Firewood stove is nothing as we call in Hindi, it's chula, or you can say it's hearth burning over there, and on that fire one big vessel is there, and in that vessel what is sizzling? Sizzling means what? Actually, while boiling it gives a hissing sound, so something is sizzling over there. What is that? Spinach leaves it's sizzling over there. On the ground in large aluminum platters are more chopped vegetables. Of course, the lady over there, whoever, actually is not mentioned now, but what is being done? Some curry is being made of all the vegetables mixed in. A frail young woman is cooking the evening meal for the whole family. Frail in the sense delicate, fragile. Okay, so this particular lady is sitting in front of the chula and she is cooking food for the family. Actually, food for the evening for the entire family. And what is she's cooking? She is cooking the vegetables. You can say, through eyes filled with smoke, she smiles. Of course, she has a guest today. Annie's Jung arrives there as a guest. So, she is busy cooking the food, and when you cook the food, you might have not experienced, but when you cook the food in front of the hearth, the firewood which gives out smoke that fills your eyes, it makes your eyes watery. Even then the eyes are watery, she gives a smile actually at the author and she welcomes her. She is the wife of Mukesh's elder brother. So who is she? She is actually Bhabhi, we can say, Mukesh's sister-in-law, his elder brother's wife. Not much older in years, she has begun to command respect as the Bahu. Now you have heard this word Hindi, Bahu means what? Daughter-in-law. So she is Bahu of the family and she is not much elder, you can say she is not more elder than Mukesh. Just few years elder to Mukesh, she has got a respect of a Bahu, you can say, of this particular family. The daughter-in-law of the house, already in charge of 3 men. Now, who are these 3 men? Her husband, Mukesh, and their father. So, she is the only one lady who takes care of all these 3 men in the house. Who is that? Her father-in-law, her brother-in-law, and her husband. Brother-in-law is Mukesh, husband and father-in-law. When the older man enters, she gently withdraws behind the broken wall and brings her veil closer to her face. You might find it very, very strange, but in few parts, in remote areas of India, still this particular custom is followed. What is that? The lady of the house, or you can say the Bahu, the daughter-in-law who comes from the other family as a part and parcel of this family, is supposed to cover her face. She is not supposed to show her face to the other male faculties, or you can other male in the family. As custom demands, daughters-in-law must veil their faces before male elders. In this case, the elder is an impoverished bangle maker. Elder in the sense her father-in-law is a impoverished bangle maker who has not succeeded in life. Such bangle makers, daughter-in-law is this particular girl. Despite long years of hard labor, first as a tailor, then a bangle maker, he has failed to renovate a house, send his 2 sons to school. All he has managed to do is teach them what he knows, the art of making bangles. This particular man, of course, entire his life, maybe he at a very early age, he has started doing bangles. Maybe he has learned this art from his father or from his grandfather, and as a child he started till today. Though he's very, very old, he does the same thing. So what he says, he is not even been able to renovate his house, which shows his impoverished, word is used here, impoverished bangle maker. Because till now what he has taught only to his kids or to his two sons, Mukesh and his elder brother, is what? Just to how to make bangles. They didn't get chance to go to school. And if you see here, he had tried to be a tailor. He had tried to go off the track. Okay, let's not do the bangles, let's not follow the traditional profession which was followed by his forefathers. Let's try something new. He had tried something new. What he had tried is he tried to be a tailor, but maybe he failed, and today if you see, he is a bangle maker. It is his karam, his destiny, says Mukesh's grandmother. Now, of course, there is a grandmother in the house. So grandmothers, they will not work, they will not take the charge of the kitchen if there is a bahu in the family. So she is sitting idly over there, and she says that it is his karam, it is his destiny. Whose destiny? Mukesh's father's. Actually, the daughter-in-laws, say bahu's father-in-laws, his destiny. Mukesh's grandmother, who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass of bangles. Even her husband, who Mukesh's grandfather, he also went blind. Maybe he also was doing this since his childhood. Maybe he is no more now. So he lost his eyes by the time he became old, or maybe he was an adult. Can a God-given lineage ever be broken? She implies. Born in the caste of bangle makers, they have seen nothing but bangles. In the house, in the yard, in every house, in every other house, every other yard, every street in Firozabad. So she actually, maybe she's regretting why my son tried to be a tailor. Because of that, he is not a successful bangle maker. He is an impoverished bangle maker. So she's saying that it was his karam actually. Why had he tried to be a tailor? Again, he had to come back because it's a God-given gift. It's a God-given lineage. Started long back by our forefathers. He should not have done some other profession. So it's his karam that now we don't have a proper place to see. And this particular area, Firozabad, you can see wherever you go. If you just enter into someone's house, you have those bangles cut into spirals and all this. Everywhere in the streets, in the yards, everywhere you will see only bangles. Because that is their traditional profession. Spirals of bangles, sunny gold, not it tells about the color, sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink, purple, every color born out of these 7 colors of the rainbow. Lie in mounds in unkempt yards, are piled on 4-wheeled handcrafts pushed by young men along the narrow lanes of the shanty town. Shanty in a sense, you can say roughly built, not planly built town. So you see all these scenes, different color bangles, which you have, so you have seen rainbow, and we have those 7 colors. Out of the 7 colors, you have seen the primary colors, secondary colors, different combinations of colors, different colors. You can see bangles of different colors, and all these bangles you can see everywhere over there. Even on the 4-tire cart, where you can see the old fellow will be pulling that cart, and you have the small kids holding the cart and pushing it, or you can have they have the buckets, all these things, tying, or they'll carry luggages where all bangles are there. They go shop to shop, they go house to house, and they sell bangles. So you have this, and in the dark hutments is nothing but huts devoid of any light. Of course, all these huts where bangles are made, you don't have proper ventilation, because there are furnaces in the houses where glass is melted and bangles are made. So, and in dark hutments next to lines of flames of flickering oil lamps, sit boys and girls with their fathers and mothers, welding pieces of colored glass into circles of bangles. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. That is why they often end up losing their eyesight before they become adults. This already I mentioned to you what happens as they grow, because already their childhood is lost spring. If spring is not given a chance to fully blossom, how will be a summer? So adult also goes to waste, and if adult is completely struggling, or you can say trying to pay the debt or loans, you can say, taken by their forefathers and fathers. It goes on, it carries on, and their adulthood also is spoiled, even their old age also goes waste. Savita, a young girl in a drab pink dress, sits alongside an elderly woman, soldering pieces of glass as her hands move mechanically like the tongs of a machine. Hands are compared to a machine. Now this Savita is a very young girl. She sits next to an elderly lady, and what is she doing is she is making bangles. She is soldering means what? She is joining this. She is melting the glass to edges of the glass, which is round in shape, and she melts it and she joins it. So that work she is doing. I wonder if she knows how scarcity of who knows scarcity of the bangles she helps make. It symbolizes an Indian woman's suhag, auspiciousness in marriage. So I hope the author is thinking when she sees a small child over there doing these bangles, she is like she's just thinking whether this particular child who is doing this auspicious bangle, which is called as suhag or which is called as shagun, a good omen in the marriages, whether she knows this one day that even she is going to wear the same thing, one day even she is going to get married, and how auspicious this thing is which she is making. It will dawn on her suddenly one day when her head is draped with a red veil, her hands dyed red with henna, and red bangles rolled onto her wrist. Now, different states have got different auspicious colors. Now, in the north, if you see, red is considered to be the auspicious. If you have seen many of the Hindi movies, I can say about Hindi movies. Many of the Hindi movies, you can see the dulhan, the bride, she'll be always wearing red color because red is considered to be auspicious or suhagan. So, uh, she will then become a bride, like the old woman beside her who became one many years ago. She still has bangles on her wrist, but no light in her eyes. Of course, Savita also will be like, now she is too young, she will grow into adult, she will get married, she will become a bride, she will also do the same thing like how this elderly lady is doing. Even that elderly lady, maybe very long back she got married, but today what you can see is, yes, she is doing the same work which was started long back, and today if you see, she has lost her eyesight. एक वक्त शेर भर खाना भी नहीं खाया. Who complains? The old lady. एक वक्त शेर भर खाना भी नहीं खाया. Here the translation is given over here. She says in a voice drained of joy. There is no joy in her voice. It is completely drained out. She has not enjoyed even one full meal in her entire lifetime. Now, what is one full meal? Of course, when you go to a particular hotel, we ask, ek thali dena. And in that thali, if you have seen, of course, you have this dal, you have rice, you have 2-3 types of vegetables, you have sweet items also, plus you have any roti. You can say you have wheat or jawar, as you demand for. You may ask for roti, you may ask for naan. What it is, the entire thali comes over there. That is called as entire full meal, you can say. That she says, जिंदगी भर एक वक्त शेर भर खाना भी नहीं खाया. You know, we have morning, afternoon lunch, we have dinner. So we have these thalis. We prepare at home. We have a balanced diet. Here they have not got it. One day this is there, the other day that will not be there. So they have adjusted. They have just filled their stomachs. That is what she says. शेर भर खाना भी नहीं खाया. पेट भर खाना भी नहीं खाया. You can say. That's what she has read. Her husband, an old man with a flowing beard, says, I know nothing except bangles. All I have done is make a house for the family to live in. What I have done till now is what? Just how, yes, I was able to build a house, and that I have done. I have not given anything to my family. I have given just one house. Okay? And you have seen how the houses are. Hearing him, one wonders if he has achieved what many have failed in their lifetime. At least he has achieved one thing of building a house. Many of the other families have not achieved even that. He has a roof over his head. A roof over his head, place to live. At least he has provided a place to live for his family. Other families, other men in the family, they were not able to do even that. The cry of not having money to do anything except carry on the business of making bangles, not even enough to eat, rings in every home. If you go to the houses over there where bangles are made, all of them they have the same complaint. खाने को खाना नहीं है, पैसा नहीं है, घर नहीं है. No, such complaints are there, but still they are not giving up the old tradition or profession. They are still continuing with it. They are still doing it. The young men echo the lament of their elders. Little has moved with time, it seems, in Firozabad. Years of mind-numbing toil have killed all initiative and the ability to dream. Of course, if you dream, if you think of something new, and if you are not encouraged, or if you go on to do something new and there now and then you have failed in doing that, it happens that it kills your initiative. Same thing has happened to all these people. Maybe they have tried. You have seen many movies where you have this Jhoppadapatti or slum area people, or you can say the people who have struggled, they want to get out of it, but again they come and fall into the same circle. Maybe due to some bad circumstances, they fell into like some robbery or something, and you have seen in the movies. So they are caught by the police, and of course they are good children, they want to be good, but again and again what happens, they keep on falling in the same bad circle, bad circle, bad circle. That is what it has killed the initiative, that no one wants to try to come out of this puddle. Why not organize yourselves into a cooperative? This is the question asked by the author. Why don't you all people organize yourself? Because even if injustice is done on you, if you come together, you can fight for it. Why don't you cooperate? Why don't you organize yourself? I ask a group of young men who have fallen into the vicious circle of middlemen who track their fathers and forefathers. You have this middlemen. They play a very major role in spoiling the life of the people. How will come to know? Even if we get organized, we are the ones who will be hauled by the police, beaten and dragged to jail for doing something illegal. Even if we organize, even if we fight, what will happen? At last, we only will be taken to jails, we only will be behind the bars, and we only will be blamed for illegal things, even though we have not done anything illegal. We will be blamed for that, and again, we are going to fall into the same problem. So, why to organize ourselves? Why to go to fight for our injustice? We are happy with what we are doing. At least we are getting something, little we are getting to fill our stomachs. There is no leader among them, no one who could help them see things differently. Their fathers are as tired as they are. They talk endlessly in a spiral that moves from poverty to apathy. Apathy is nothing else but lack of interest, to greed and to injustice. Their forefathers suffered. Their forefathers' debt the fathers couldn't pay. So forefathers' debt, fathers' debt, now this young generation is going to pay. So that thing of, you can say, of discouragement, that you can song of sadness is going on from forefathers to fathers, fathers to this particular generation. No one is trying to come out of it. Listening to them, I see two distinct worlds. Which are these two distinct worlds? One of the family. This is a very important question asked. When this question is asked, you should not get confused with Sahib Alam's story and this story. When the question is asked about two distinct worlds, is in this story only. One is the world of these bangle makers, other is the world of the middlemen or saukars. That is what I am going to read now. Listening to them, I see two distinct worlds. One of the family caught in a web of poverty. It's a metaphor here. Caught into a web of poverty. Web you have seen. Spider's web you have seen. Many of you have enjoyed during lockdown. Now and then I have seen they were showing Spider-Man part 1, 2, 3, 4. You have seen what happens. Spider-Man, spider. If a small insect gets stuck into it, it's very difficult for that particular insect to come out. And it dies over there. So that usually this particular family caught in web of poverty which they cannot come out, burdened by the stigma of caste in which they are born. Of course, they are born in a stigma, they are born in a caste where their traditional profession is to prepare to make bangles. So they cannot go out of that particular circle. They have to be in that only, they have to do only nothing else but bangles. Prepare bangles, make bangles. The other vicious circle of the sahukars, the middlemen, the policemen and the keepers of law, the bureaucrats and the politicians. This is the other world. And all this you can say they are like pesticides, they are just sucking the bloods of this particular community. Or you can say the people, those who are poor, the people those who are already suffering, they have been tortured, they have been suffered more because of this other category that is called as middlemen, or you can say the other world, distinct world. Together they have imposed the baggage on the child. To impose the baggage on the child is what? Force the profession. Maybe the present generation child, as Mukesh, wants to become a motor mechanic. Others also might have tried, they also want to, but they are not allowed. Something or the other happens, something or the other situations created by the other world that they come back to that same profession. Like how Mukesh's father tried to become a tailor, he wanted to become a tailor, maybe he enjoyed being a tailor, but no, due to certain reason he again had to come back because at least it was providing them some food. So he came back to making bangles now. Okay? Before he is aware, he accepts it as naturally as his father. Now, these children, they don't go to school. They don't know that, yeah, there is a better life. They have not seen. They are, whenever they see their own age children around them, they have seen doing the same thing. So when they see that other children are doing the same thing, they think, yeah, this is what is life. And whatever we see in the television or movie, that is, yeah, that is a life, that is a very, rich people's life, and we cannot achieve that. We cannot go to that particular level. That is what they think. So blindly they accept the burden given by the forefathers. Or you can say not only forefathers, by the other world who creates a situation and makes the child to, what is that? Impose the baggage, carry the baggage on his shoulders. Force the profession. And so, okay, to do anything else would mean to dare. And daring is not part of his growing up. That is what they believe. If you go to dare, you are going to be killing yourself. Don't dare anything else. You follow the path, you go with the path where your forefathers, your fathers have gone through. Go through the same path. Don't go to, don't flow against, don't go against, don't swim against the flow. That is what, because if you dare, you are gone. If you dare, and daring is not a part of its growth, you are not going to grow if you dare to go against the present situation. When I sense a flash of it in Mukesh, I am cheered. Of course, at least here she sees a ray of hope in Mukesh, because Mukesh wants to be a motor mechanic. So she is happy that at least someone is there who wants to do something different than making bangles. I want to be a motor mechanic. He repeats. He will go to a garage and learn, but the garage is a long way from his house. I will walk. He insists. Of course, it shows his strong determination. I want to be a motor mechanic, and for that, whatever hard work is required, I am ready to do it. The garage is far away. He has to walk to the distance. He has to first learn driving a car. He is ready for everything. He is ready to go against the flow. Do you dream Okay, do you dream of flying a plane? This is the question asked by author. Okay, fine. Driving a car, being a motor mechanic, it's fine. Do you dream of flying a plane? He is suddenly silent.